Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today. First, we'll be covering some Yankees news and rumors. They've been in the news recently with a lot of different stuff going on, so we'll talk about it. After that, we'll be talking about young players getting extensions, who I think could be candidates for each team, and why. And lastly, we'll be talking about news around the league, just general stories that I wanted to talk about, and what's going on in general. So now, before we do that, I would like to ask you to please like and follow the show. We get a number of questions from viewers that do come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on the air, I do ask that you use the tips and donation link you see on your screen over there, streamelements.com/GSMCSportsNetwork./tip. It really does mean a lot, and it really does help. So thank you so much for that. So, without further ado, let's get into our first segment here. And our first segment is going to be the Yankees. Everyone's favorite team. Everyone loves the Yankees, don't they? So they've been in the news recently with a lot of different stuff going on, a lot of different rumors. So, we're going to talk about it. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is who else other than Blake Snell. Now, we all know the story with Blake Snell, what's going on with him right now. He is the reigning Cy Young winner, a two-time Cy Young winner, in fact, and he is still out on the market when spring training games start tomorrow, which I would say is very unprecedented in the game of baseball and probably other sports as well. Imagine if an MVP or someone like that was still on the free agent market for basketball. You couldn't. It's not going to happen. But it does with baseball because our off seasons are kind of interesting, to say the least. So Blake Snell has been rumored with the Yankees for a little while now. It started a few months ago when the Yankees were very interested in getting some pitching after trading a lot of pitching depth to get Juan Soto. It was rumored that they offered him a $150 million contract, which he immediately rebuffed. And since then, there's not been much news about Blake Snell, excluding this week. So the Yankees have been mentioned again with him in a lot of rumors. He's kind of whenever someone mentions suitors for Blake Snell or mentioning where could Blake Snell go, the Yankees have consistently been mentioned for a good amount of reasons as well. They have a great team, of course. They need another pitcher. He's former teammates with Juan Soto just last year. He's friends with Aaron Judge, which we know of. And with Blake Snell's market somewhat falling, or what it seems to be falling, the Yankees have made a lot of sense because of this. And a lot of rumors have been made about could he go there for a short-term deal with a lot of AAV, hit the market on either next year or the year after, something like that. Get his bag now, and hopefully he reaffirms his value and shows people, okay, I'm not a fluke. I've done this before. I'm going to do it again, and I'm a great pitcher who you should make the ace of your rotation. So Blake Snell has been mentioned in the Yankees, like I said, for a little while now. It makes sense. I'm not sure. I don't believe he's going to sign with the Yankees, as much as there have been rumors about how the Yankees have offers on the table and they want to sign him short term. I just don't see it as logistically possible, mainly for the reason of the salary cap and just kind of what goes on with that. So Ken Rosenthal pointed out in his podcast from Fair Territory that if the Yankees were to sign Blake Snell to a one-year, $40 million deal, just as an example, which I guess is possible right now, it would really be a one-year, $80 million deal because of where they are with the salary cap and what goes on with the Cohen tax. So that, to me, does not seem very plausible if you're a Yankees fan and looking to live in the realm of reality. Now, again, Blake Snell could say, okay, you know what, I'm not going to get the money I want, so let me take a one-year deal, very low AAV, with a lot of incentives, go to a team like the Yankees who's obviously trying to be a World Series contender. So I think that could make some sense here. But I'm just not sure about Blake Snell and the Yankees, how much sense it makes. It's kind of an iffy fit, kind of a fit that a lot of people want to be true because it would make the team a lot better. It would get the market moving, but I just don't see it as very plausible or going to happen. Aaron Judge also said he is expecting more moves. Yankees insider Andy Martino, who is one of the best in the business when it comes to New York sports, also agreed with that and seconded it and kind of said in a nice way they're looking for pitching and they would like some pitching. So obviously Snell fits that category as he's still out in the free agent market. The Yankees need pitching and he has a connection to a good amount of players on the team. So again, I think it makes sense on paper, but when you dive deeper into it, going to the logistics of the thing, going into the salary cap, the money, what's going on with that, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. It's probably not going to happen, but it's a nice rumor. It gets it gets the baseball market moving right now. It gets something to talk about, which is good for people like me because the market's pretty slow right now. The sport's pretty slow right now, so we're trying to find some things to talk about. So yeah, I mean, if we're looking at other candidates for the Yankees to sign to get pitching, I think you'd have to look first at Jordan Montgomery. Obviously, Jordan Montgomery did play for the Yankees. He is a former Yankee. There have been some rumors that the Yankees share a mutual interest with Montgomery and bringing him back. So obviously Montgomery, he was traded from the Yankees, kind of blindsided in the middle of the season when he was a big part of their rotation, and there was a lot of rumors that were presumably true that Montgomery then kind of was a little pissed off at the organization because they traded him in the middle of the season with little warning, and that his wife had started a job that day at a hospital in New York, and the day he got traded. So then they had to kind of reroute their entire life, and he was a little mad at the Yankees organization. I don't think that's entirely such a bad thing to be mad about. I would be pretty mad if I was Jordan Montgomery as well. So I think you have to look at it that way as well, kind of squashing the beef here a little bit with the two parties. But from everything that's been rumored, it apparently has happened that Jordan Montgomery is open to going back to the Yankees if they would like him. It's kind of the same thing with the Snell thing, though. Do they have the money and do they have the ability to get Montgomery on the team because of how much money they've spent, because of where they are with the luxury tax and salary cap and all things going on with that? So I'm not sure personally. I think Montgomery, is a really good fit. Just again, it's kind of the same thing with Snell. It just brings legitimacy to that rotation, brings a level of depth they didn't have before. Again, the Yankees have a great rotation. Gerrit Cole, bona fide ace, Cy Young last year, probably the best pitcher in baseball. But after that, you have a good amount of question marks. I'd probably say everyone in that rotation is a question mark after Cole. You have Carlos Rodon, who, don't get me started with how much of a question mark he is. I mean, injury prone last year. When he did pitch, he wasn't very good. He had some beef with the fans, and it's not just coming out of nowhere with these injuries for Rodon. He's had some injuries back in his Chicago days when he wasn't as good as he is now. You did sign him to a 7-year contract, so obviously you're hoping that he can rebound and become the guy you paid for, but I don't know right now, so there's question marks with him. You have Marcus Stroman, who was injured the second half of last year. When he did pitch, was really, really bad, one of the worst pitchers in baseball in the second half last year, so you have to look at that as well. You have Nestor Cortez, who was hurt to end the year last year. Apparently in camp he's been doing much better. He apparently struck out Juan Soto a couple of times, which is I'd say good news for Yankees, maybe for Cortez, not for guys who want Soto to succeed, but I'm fairly positive Soto will be fine. You have Clark Schmidt, Clayton Beeter, guys like that trying to fill in the 5 spot right now. Fine players, but they're young, they're prospects. They still need a little bit of fine-tuning, most likely. You have Luke Weaver, who's like the 6-man swingman type person right now for them. He's fine, but again, he's just fine. He's okay. He's fine depth. So bringing a guy like Snell or Montgomery in, or just another pitcher, maybe even trade for a guy like Shane Bieber, who was mentioned earlier in the offseason, or one of the Marlins guys like Jesus Luzardo, who would cost a ton, Edward Cabrera, who maybe wouldn't cost as much, to just bring another level of arm to that rotation and bring some more depth to that rotation as well. So I think that's possible, and I think the Yankees do need more pitching, but I'm not sure if Snell or Monty are the guys they're going to get, because they cost a good amount of money, because they are free agents who have a good track record with pedigree, and with where the Yankees are in the salary cap, with at relation to the Cohen tax as well, it just doesn't make a lot of financial sense for them, and just sense in general. So I would look at that as probably a no. Again, Montgomery, we don't really know where Monty's going to go right now. I thought he was for sure going back to the Rangers, but the reports came out that is unlikely. So maybe if his market really falls, him and the Yankees will come to a mutual decision that, okay, everything's in the past. We both need each other right now, and we'll sign and we'll try to win a World Series, which I definitely think is possible. But I just don't know what the Yankees' salary cap situation right now and what's going on with that. I don't know how it's going to work. So next, we're going to be shifting away a little bit from pitching and just general Yankees news. So we have Gleyber Torres. So Gleyber Torres talked about today to the media that he would like to be a Yankee for life. He wants an extension. He wants to play for the Yankees forever. all that stuff, which is great news for the Yankees fans, I'd say. Gleyber Torres is a really good player. Any team would be lucky to have him. So I'm just going to look at, does it make sense for the Yankees to extend him? Will they, and all that. So maybe I'm being overdramatic here, but I don't think he'll be extended, and I don't think he'll be a Yankee next year. I just don't think it makes a lot of sense when looking at the future of the Yankees. He's a very good player. I want to make that very clear. Gleyber Torres is a very good player. Any team would benefit from having him. But you look at the Yankees right now; they have a lot of middle infield prospects. Even when trading away a guy like Trey Sweeney to the Dodgers, you have someone like Oswald Peraza, like Jorbit Vivas, like Roderick Arias, and you of course have Volpe manning short for however long he's going to be there. For Yankees fans, I'm sure for their sake, they hope it's a long, long time. We'll talk more about Volpe later in the show, actually. So stay tuned for that. So yeah, they have a lot of middle infield prospects. Yes, some of them like Vivas and Arias, they're going to be up later. They probably won't be up until 2025 at the absolute earliest. 2026 probably more likely. But you have to look at these things when you're extending a player like Gleyber, who is relatively young, to maybe a 4 or 5 year deal, or maybe even a 6. So because he is young and because he is a good player. Oswald Peraza, they were kind of hesitant to give him the third base job this offseason, which is maybe a question mark for me about his long-term future and how good he really is, because if his own team doesn't really like him, what does that really say about him? But you still need to give him a chance. I could see him I could see him setting in perfectly as Gleyber's replacement next year. So you look at that, and just with the bulk of middle infield prospects they have. Now, I want to make it clear that having middle infield prospects, they are the most athletic type of players. So you sign a lot of middle infield prospects, you trade for them because they can shift positions if necessary. So that is always possible. But as of right now, I think Gleyber coming back with the depth they have in that farm system and organization doesn't make a ton of sense. And looking over next year, you have someone who's a big free agent. His name's Juan Soto. So I don't know how if the Yankees want to have a serious chance at re-signing Juan Soto, which I think they want to. I mean, I don't know a Yankees fan wouldn't want to re-sign Juan Soto. And believe me, they're going to have to, because it's going to be a big race for him. I'm already seeing reports about a New York battle to get Juan Soto, which would be very exciting for baseball. So that, and if the Yankees want to get Soto, believe me, they'll have to dish out the big bucks. I'm thinking $600 million, and I think it could be more if you factor in a bidding war with Steinbrenner and Cohen. So I think you kind of have to do one of the either if you're next offseason with the Yankees, if you're with Soto and Gleyber. And let's say you sign Soto. Let's say you don't sign Soto. Let's say you don't sign Gleyber as well. You still need pitching next year. There's a lot of good pitchers on the market. You have Corbin Burns. You have Max Fried. You have other guys as well. You need a legitimate number 2 with the Yankees, assuming Rodon still kind of struggles, and Stroman. We don't know how it's going to go with that. So I think it doesn't make a lot of sense for the Yankees to extend Torres right now, just with the uncertainty of the organization, and what's going on with them, and just the depth they have of positions in the farm and what's going on with their future. So I wouldn't look towards an extension right now for the Yankees and Gleyber Torres. It's very nice Torres wants to stay as a Yankee for his entire career. It's very nice that he said that publicly. And you always want players like that in your team, and you always want an organization who is able to convince players of that and make them feel at home. But it is a business at the end of the day, and for me, Gleyber Torres going back to signing an extension with the Yankees right now just doesn't make a ton of sense. Again, he could always re-sign in the offseason. I think that's very likely, very possible, very plausible. But I just don't think right now is the right time for the Yankees, and I think a lot of Yankees fans would agree with that. He's a fan favorite. He's a great player. Seems to be a really nice guy, great clubhouse presence, but it's baseball as a business, and I don't think it makes much sense right now for the Yankees to bring back Gleyber and kind of make him a big part of that core going forward, even though he is a good player. So just to recap a tiny bit, we talked about the Yankees and their pitching recruits, how they're trying to get Blake Snell, maybe even a Jordan Montgomery, how Aaron Judge said he's expecting more moves, and you always want to make sure Judge is happy with the contract you gave him. Gleyber Torres and his Yankees extension talks, how he wants to be a Yankee for life and all that. So, and how I talked about it. So, yeah, just what's going on with the Yankees right now. I thought there was a lot going on with them, actually, surprisingly. So I just wanted to talk about it and give my 2 cents. So that was the end of the first segment. Before we're going to take a little break here. But before that, we're going to show you our second segment, which is going to be young AL player extension candidates. just younger players on each team in the American League that I think could be extension candidates. We'll talk about it further in the next segment and why I decided to talk about this. But first, we'll take a break. So here you go, and see you on the other side. Thanks.